When you pause the newest game from Awesome Enterprises, it offers this pro tip. Don't pause the game. 76% of players who pause the game die soon after unpausing. While I'm sure they've crunched the numbers and done extensive research, I have a slightly different theory. By the time players have experienced enough of massive cleavage versus zombies to pause, I suspect that 76% of the players have discovered that this abortion of a game is so painfully bad that giving up on life is the only sane option. With a name that sounds more like a desperate attempt to stand out in the increasingly crowded zombie genre, Massive Cleavage vs. Zombies Awesome Edition is a frustrating new action game where you play a busty blonde who tries to escape a zombie outbreak. She's a little ditzy and hasn't yet learned how to button up a shirt, but at least she brought along a massive meat cleaver to stay safe. This is a shockingly inept beat-em-up where a half-dozen zombie clones rush our hero on both sides. We're given only 2 attacks, a high attack and a low attack. That's it. There are no special moves or power-ups. You can't duck or jump or really do anything beyond hacking and slashing zombies. Even compared to classic 2D beat-em-ups from the 1980s, Massive Cleavage vs. Zombies is a huge step backwards. I suppose I could complain that all of the action takes place on a single lifeless screen, or how all the backgrounds are nothing more than a snapshot with a Photoshop filter over them. But that's not the issue here. The real culprit is the gameplay, which is the very definition of sluggish. There's a noticeable lag between the button presses and the action on screen. This is fine at first, I suppose, but can be incredibly frustrating once the game starts throwing dozens of zombies at you. To make matters worse, the zombies don't actually bite you to register damage. In fact, there's no bite animation at all. What usually happens is a walker will slip by your defenses and stand right next to you, invulnerable to attacks and sucking your life. Unfortunately, this is the best case scenario. I found that sometimes zombies didn't even need to be around me to inflict pain. I died multiple times with nobody near me. There's not one moment in this game where I actually had fun. Oh, and did I mention that it randomly becomes a dual-stick shooter? In the most jarring shift I've seen this year, we jump from crummy 2D beat-em-up to an unbearable overhead action game. Unfortunately, the sluggish controls carry over, turning what could have been an entertaining diversion into a frustrating nightmare. Even if I could get beyond the terrible gameplay and mind-numbing repetition, you're still left with a loathsome hero who doesn't deserve to survive the zombie apocalypse. She's the kind of person who could learn your name, but chooses to call you Mr. Mexican. A person who seems a little iffy on both little people and the Chinese. A person who can't even button her damn shirt. This is the kind of person who should be eaten first, yet she continues to luck her way into safety. Massive Cleavage is a miserable experience with even worse gameplay. It takes an already simple genre and dumps it down to the point of absurdity. You're better off playing literally any other side-scrolling beat-em-up. In a world where it's either play this again or be eaten by a zombie, I'm pretty sure I'd side with the zombie. Hey, thanks for watching our review. I didn't realize it going in, but this is the second game I've reviewed by Awesome Enterprises. I also took a look at Minotaur back in 2013 on the Defunct Games website, and I gave it a D-. Believe it or not, Massive Cleavage vs. Zombies is somehow worse. Hopefully they can turn things around going forward. Speaking of going forward, we're going to be taking a look at a bunch of games this week, including Dex, Trezeal, Chime Sharp, and more. So do me a favor and click the subscribe button. Until then.